80 pages. And it's down to only 3. And that's because of the miracle of Diane Key, who was able to cut and paste. I kid you not.
Now that I've been outed, the reason we're doing this together is because of this great comic talent, but also because Bill and Tish are getting this award together, so we decided that we would rely on our mutual strengths in the presentation. So I'm going to start by talking about Bill, and we'll go back and forth as we talk about Bill and Tish, each as individuals and then together as a team. So Bill, if you read his bio, by the way, it is extraordinary because he's a great writer and had very interesting experiences along the way. And as Tish is also, in her inimitable way, shared about her life, but we're going to share some additional things because we moved to Norwalk 27 years ago, and I think we've known him since then. So Bill, interestingly, was born in 1935 and graduated from Stanford Business School in the 50s. And as he says in his bio, that was kind of the end of his relationship with business, but that's not exactly right. He was a social entrepreneur before they coined the term. So he uses business skills to benefit the public through government service and through nonprofit service, and he's done a great job with it. And as an example of that, while he was mayor of Norwalk for 4 terms, and he was in the General Assembly representing the 140th district for 2 terms. And while he was mayor of Norwalk, he had the brainstorm to renovate South Norwalk into Sono, which is now an architectural gem and had been in stagnation for decades. So he really has this vision in. And also, when he negotiated the sale of some property he owned to a hotel, he required that they use union labor. Very unusual, but always reflective of his values. Then in retirement, the Spanish call retirement jubilado because you're supposed to be jubilant when you retire and just hang out on the beach, but that's not Bill. Bill founded the Minuteman Media, which did progressive op-eds in a stealthy way. As the right wing was taking over local newspapers, he knew that they wouldn't pay for op-eds from progressive voices like Jim Hightower and others that he had recruited into that mission, and he got foundations to support it, and he wrote for it himself and challenged things like the lack of prosecutions of the bankers who were responsible for 2008. And so he recognized the assault that we're now seeing in full force against the Fourth Estate, and he went in the great tradition of muckraking journalism and comforted the afflicted and afflicted the comfortable. So I honor Bill for his activities in retirement. And his most recent project is in Norwalk. There's a Department of Transportation situation that we have there that could cost the public $1 billion. And we have a statement from Fred Krupp, who is the Executive Director of Environmental Defense Fund. It's one of the biggest environmental groups in the country. And he's a relatively recent resident of Norwalk. And John's going to read his statement about Bill.
So Fred Krupp is one of the national leaders of the environmental movement, who now finds himself working with Bill Collins on a local environmental and government issue. This is Fred Krupp. Bill Collins is a delight to work with. He combines acute political acumen, a willingness to stand up for good government, with a sense of humor. After working on an advisory committee to help design the Walk Bridge, a railroad bridge in Norwalk, he came to a point where the project didn't make sense to him. To explain, the project involves constructing a new bridge that would lift 60 feet on a river with no boat that would ever need that clearance. The multi-year construction brings the revived Sono Business District, one of the accomplishments of Bill's tenure as mayor. The project entails massive disruption to the toxic sediments in the riverbed and is unlikely to help the thriving Norwalk oyster business or other life in the harbor. From the start, Bill was all in. The effort, as Bill typically is, the effort continues as he works to help Ned Lamont understand the opportunity he has to take command of unnecessary state spending, $1 billion, remember, so more resources can be available for what is truly needed, such as restoring Hudson Transit service for the working poor. Bill has used his highly credible voice to speak out to local newspaper and TV reporters, even traveling to Hartford in a torrential rainstorm to appear in a press conference. He reached out and briefed candidate Ned Lamont. He has been invaluable to the efforts of Norwalk Harborkeeper to have the new governor take a second look at what the local newspaper has called a $1 billion boondoggle. His work for a better solution for railway passengers, a fixed bridge, and more efficient use of taxpayer money, a solution that will be better for the environment and the business community in Steno, aren't surprising. For Bill, it's merely the continuation of his long and effective career of public service and devotion to social activism. Norwalk and Connecticut are lucky to have benefited from Bill's commitment to making the community better.
So Bill is also a globalist, and he mentions in his bio that he had a short stint in the Army, and it was great opposition research, which he realized was the way he felt about it even in day one. So you share an interest in peace, developing peace, and Bill has been on the board of the Veterans for Peace organization for many years and has supported the reallocation of federal resources away from weapons and toward human needs, to alleviate suffering that is the root cause of war. And so every Memorial Day parade in Norwalk, we and some of the other folks in this room have marched for peace and to prevent further wars. It's the best way to honor the war dead.
Oh yeah, there we are. Okay. It was a cut and paste. I'm not kidding.
I did mine better than I did his.
Given his accomplishments, the number of projects that he has taken on, the number of people he's touched and motivated and guided, one might reasonably expect that Bill had no time for fun. Far from it. He's amused guests at dinner parties, traveled to over 100 countries, and kept running at night well into his 70s to keep the trim figure he sports today. A mensch with charm and a social conscience who could be his match. And now, about Tish.
So Tish is his match. Tish was his campaign manager on all of his winning campaigns. She was city clerk of Norwalk during his administration. And she has been in many volunteer roles in Norwalk. I first met her as a new board member in the 1990s for the Norwalk Navarrete Sister City Project, which she was a founding board member of, and Scott Harris, who was the founder, is here. And Bill also was a founding board member, but Bill and Tish went to Navarrete, Nicaragua, which is about the same size as Norwalk, Connecticut. It's about 85,000 people. And it's in the second poorest country in the hemisphere, Nicaragua, which was the subject of an unjust war. And instead of just opposing the war, Tish decided to really lean into working on alleviating the suffering of the people in Nicaragua and empowering them to improve their own communities so they wouldn't be fleeing their communities, but instead building those communities up and staying in place and creating a better life for themselves, better public health. And hundreds of students have actually gone from preschool to college on the money that Tish has raised and delivered to the community of Navarrete. And that is a huge accomplishment. And if you're thinking of donating scholarship money, it goes a long way in Nicaragua. And then she also recruited board members, used her formidable skills in fundraising, grant writing, developing strategy, and implementing programs. And she gradually transformed the poorest barrio in Navarrete to what it is today, which it has a community center and many, many other improvements that John mentioned.
So beyond the community center, the Norwalk Nagarrote Sister City project has brought sustainable community development, including a large reforestation project and a solar water pump for its Seeds of Hope organic farm, which introduced fresh organic vegetables into the diets of local children and their after-school program. And the list goes on and on from there. It includes an ambulance that was driven all the way from, I believe, Connecticut to Nicaragua, a dental office, job training, a library. It's a long list, but it's a short night. Their motto is, making friends is making peace. Tish has tried to retire from this role more than once. And now another capable and qualified successor was recruited, but Tish remains a volunteer, extraordinary fundraiser and organizer. While both of the two recent candidates for mayor of Nagarrote in Nicaragua have been graduates of the preschool program that is run by Norwalk Nagarrote Sister City Project.
And while co-hosting all those dinner parties that we spoke about, that Bill was entertaining at, Tish was also a mother, sister, grandmother, campaign manager, grant writer, city clerk, and Aquarian board member. Tish reminds me of the quote from Madeleine Albright, who came to Wellesley College and said, "You can do it all, but just not all at once." Tish really knows how to pace herself, and we in Norwalk and all the people in Nagarrote are grateful for her generosity of spirit and her commitment to people who, so that they can realize their potential, and is all predicated on her belief and Bill's belief in the dignity and integrity of all people. So we're going to bring them both up on stage now, and just to close, Bill and Tish, as they're coming up, come on up. They both have grit. They're both persistent. I just heard from Diane Randall, who used to be in the state of Connecticut as a lobbyist on homeless issues and the importance of stabilizing affordable housing in Connecticut. She was a student in Finland, and she says the Finnish language has a term for characters like Bill and Tish. No comparable term is in English, but it's defined as strength, determination, tenacity of purpose, and to continue to overcome in a moment of adversity, even years of adversity. Sisu is the term, and it's almost a magical quality, a combination of stamina, courage, held in reserve for hard times. People like Bill and Tish call others to step in and step up. We congratulate Bill and Tish tonight and ask those present to take up the mantle on the next century's challenges, climate change, war, and justice. Thanks a lot.